Single moms are
resilient,
phenomenal,
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
everything.
Single Mom Defined rewrites the narrative about Black single mothers and creates supportive spaces for all single moms. Tune in as we talk about everything from work and relationships to self-care and co-parenting. Welcome to the Single Mom Defined podcast.
Hey mamas, I'm Heather Hopson, founder of Single Mom Defined. Welcome to our very first podcast. Imagine if you Googled yourself and all these really horrible words popped up on your screen. Things like you were selfish, you are irresponsible, you're not a father, you're trash. Well, that's exactly what happened when I typed single Black mom into the search bar. How would that shape your identity, impact your self-esteem, or form others' opinions about you? At first, I was so angry, but then I decided to turn my anger into action and produce Single Mom Defined, a photo essay and video series. More than 50 mothers and 100 children wrote a much more accurate definition on single parenting. And joining me are two of those moms, Rikell and Kelli. And Rikell, why did you decide to participate when I reached out?
I decided to participate because first I saw the call and it was an interesting call for single moms. And also I felt like my story needed to be heard. Oftentimes us, as Black moms, like you said, there's negative connotations about us. So I wanted to be able to tell my story and to be able to normalize it for other moms. Although a narrative had been painted for us, we have the opportunity to change that narrative and also, like I said, to normalize the story so that other moms didn't feel like they were all alone. Like this is just their experience, but it's all of our experience. Although it may look different, we still have, shared some kind of lived experience through becoming a single mom and what it takes to be a single mom to get it through. So I really wanted other moms to be able to, know that we have power and know that we could get through this and be productive as single moms.
Right, right. And it did bring us together, as you mentioned. Like, I didn't even know Kelli, but now I adore Kelli. It's like I'm always messaging her, talking to her. Kelli, I actually saw a picture of you on Facebook with this beautiful afro. You were posing with lots of children with your group Fro Gang, and I just reached out. So, what was your response when this random person was DMing you, asking you to participate, asking if you were a single mom?
My response was like, yes, I'm a single mother, and yes, I am down. I thought immediately it was something that I wanted to do because in that space, I was in a space that I was really low. I had just became a single mother, and I needed that. Like, I needed to tell my story. I needed to be heard. I needed to be around other Black women, other women who were single mothers, so that, I too could feel accepted. Because it was something that nobody plans for, nobody wants, but it just happened. So when I saw the call, immediately I was like, yes. Once I got there and saw everything that it entailed, it just put the icing on the cake.
That's awesome. Speaking of awesome, my daughter called me awesome when I asked her to describe me. And that's what we did. We asked the kids to describe their moms. Not only did the mothers provide a more accurate definition about single Black parenting, but so did their kids. So what did your daughter say when we said, hey, how do you describe your mom? If you Googled your mom, what word would come up?
My daughter said I was fearfully and wonderfully made.
What about you, Kelli?
My son said I was strong.
Right. And what's wild is that society always wants to lump us together and stereotype us. Not only single mothers, but just Black women. We are not monolithic. And our kids proved it because we had 100 kids with 100 different words. They said everything from, my mom is amazing. My mom's the best mom in the universe. My mom, like, kids were using words I never even heard of that I had to Google. So it like they said, someone was affectionate, someone was joyful. So that just proves that we're each unique, although we took a different path to parenting. Some people became single moms because the father was killed The father was incarcerated. The father abandoned them. Some people became single moms because they were, you know, in a failed relationship. What was interesting, all the women that we interviewed, like nobody chose to be a single mom. Like nobody was like, oh, this is what I want to sign up for. Like not one. So Rikell, if you can share your story, what's your backstory to becoming a single mom?
Well, my backstory is that myself and my daughter's father, we was in a situationship. So through that, found out I was pregnant, and I told him that I was pregnant, and he was like, "You're getting an abortion," and I was like, "I don't know if I really want to do this." Like, you know. So I can remember being at work and he is just blowing up my phone. When you getting it done? When you getting it done? And I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. So I can remember him going out of town. And when he went out of town, he called me and was like, "Oh, when you going to go get it done?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have no money to get it done." He was like, "Well, ask your mom, ask your dad." And I was like, "No," but I had the money. So I had made the appointment to get the abortion, and I was like, "God, if this is your plan for me, please let me know. If this is not your plan for me, please send me a sign." Man, when y'all say God works, it was scary though, too. Because my dad came to my house and he knocked on my door, and I was like, I just bawled and let it all out to my dad. And I can remember my dad saying to me, like, "You don't have to worry. We'll help you raise this child. You don't have to go get an abortion. You don't." And my dad has kept his word to that. Like, anything I need, my dad had a hip replacement. My dad's still out there trying 3 weeks after having a hip replacement. "Oh, your daughter need to go to practice. Let me take her to practice. So it's like that, he's present, and when I need help financially, he help financially too. So I mean, he's always stuck through his word through that.
Sis, that's super. That's such a blessing that you had your father. For me, my story, uh, me and my guy best friend, known him since I was a child. Um, we linked. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. We had a child. And then the relationship started getting a little bit rocky. It started getting abusive. I started really being in a limbo, is if I want to be in this relationship. Do I want to be a single mother, or do I want to be in an abusive relationship, and have a complete family? And it was one day that my man came home from the club, which I asked him not to go to. And he just, I don't know, he was just irate. He comes home, he beats me. He's locked up due to some other unforeseen things that have nothing to do with me. But that's how I became a single mother, by choosing my child, by choosing myself, not really being worried about, I guess, what people were going to say and what this looks like. I knew that I had to save myself and my son. That was way more important than being a single mother. So I chose to be a single mother, to flee from abuse, to flee from division, to flee from all types of negative feelings and characteristics and attributes that this man had. I had to flee. So, yep, I did.
Right. And no one wants to do it on their own, right? So no one really goes into this saying, I want to be a single mom. But oftentimes we make that decision to be a single mom because it's in the best interest of our child. And as a mom, that's what you have to do, put your child first. So my story is a little bit different. I was in my 30s And even though I had a boyfriend, long-term boyfriend, for a long time, I got so stuck on the fact I would have to tell people like, oh, we were together for 3 years, as if that made me feel better about being a single mom, because that's what society does, and it tries to divide us up. So I would try to explain that like, oh, it's not the same as this single mom. I later learned like single moms are unmarried. Like, this isn't a struggle story competition. So back to my story, had a boyfriend, had a job, had a degree. But there was still this stigma, especially coming from a two-parent Christian household. My parents were married 50 plus years. My grandparents were married 50 plus years. So my mom always said, don't get pregnant before you're married. Don't live with someone before you're married. And here I was, pregnant, living with somebody. And when I told her, she, like, I remember the look of absolute horror on her face. Like, my dad high-fived us because, he's like, you're in your 30s. Like, I'm not paying for it. I'm excited, ready to be a grandparent. But afterwards, my mom became the most supportive person. She threw a baby shower. She was my babysitter when I wasn't getting child support. She watched my daughter, and she really kind of definitely came through, like how Rikell was saying her dad showed up. So, fortunately, since then, I never imagined becoming a mom, but now I can't imagine my life not being a mom. And God has this amazing ability to turn your burden into a blessing. And, it sounds like He did that with each of us in our story, and it helped us cultivate joy. So, what do you think is the most joyous part, Kelli, of being a mom?
I think one of the most joyous things of being a mother is, I guess, fueling your, like, I have two boys, so being able to instill a lot of the things that the world doesn't, and a lot of the things that they think Black men don't have, being able to just, I guess, mold my son to be not who I want him to be, but like just who he's gonna be, but without a little bit, like without all the world in him. I think that's one of the most joyous things, is seeing him grow into himself. Seeing him regurgitate a lot of the knowledge that I say, the mindset that I have, as far as who you are as a person, like as I'm who I am as a Black woman, but who are you as a black boy, and what visual will you paint,
That's
moving forward. So I feel like that's one of the most joyous things, is growing him up, molding him into a man that will love a Black woman, will never leave, will provide, will protect. All of that is just the joyous, and seeing him even just act those things out with me. With his mother being his first girlfriend, he does protect in whatever way he can. He does provide in whatever way that he can already. You know what I mean? Being a gentleman, opening doors, pumping gas, carrying, molding him into the man that a woman can be proud of, a mother can be proud of. That is the most joyous thing.
What about you, Rikell?
I would say the most joyous thing is watching my daughter grow into her own personality. The one thing that she always say to me is, I am not you. And I was like, okay, I get it. You're not me, but I'm trying to teach you some things. And, you know, just really seeing her grow into her own person, the way she speaks up, and the way she's really unapologetic to who she is. Whether she says someone is saying something that's quirky about her, okay, accept that quirkiness about me. I am who I am. I'm not my mom, I'm not my grandma, and I'm not you. So respect who I am. So just seeing her being able to speak to who she is, being able to share her voice, because a lot of the time as a Black woman, our voices aren't validated, and she's going to make sure that her voice is validated, and you're going to hear from her. She'll say it in the sweetest way, and she maybe say it in boldest ways, but you're going to hear what she has to say. And I can remember the teachers calling me from school and saying, Um, you taught her how to advocate for herself. Sometimes she should be quiet. I'm like, no, she needs to continue to speak up for the things that she see that is not wrong. If she don't feel like, if she's not feeling something, she's going to tell you that she's not feeling it, you know? So I just love just seeing her continue to grow into that, we say strong Black woman, but to that empowered Black woman. I'm enjoying seeing her grow into that person.
We talked about the best thing about being a single mom. What's the worst thing? Were you ever stereotyped or stigmatized? How did that make you feel?
For me, the only time I guess it really made, so there's two things. So the only thing I don't like about being a single mother is that, of course, my son doesn't have his biological father. Now, he does have a stepfather, but he doesn't have a biological father. But the second thing that bothers me is that when you take your children to the doctors or something, the way that they label you, like as a like you're not married. You're not married. Like I had an instance when I took my son to the pediatrician one day, and they asked me, was I involved? And I'm like, yes, I haven't met. Are you married? Are you married? Then you're single. And I'm just like, ma'am, like you're doing a little bit too much. So I guess just having, again, that negative single connotation that goes with being a single mother. And even though I know that definition wise, it's not, you're single because you're not married. But I guess, and that just really triggered me. It was really like rude. And I felt like, and of course she was of a different ethnicity. So it really was just coming off like, who are you? Check my son and let me go. You know what I mean? So that's when it really gets annoying.
I think every single mom has had that experience. I remember going to the pharmacy to pick up my prescription, and I made the decision to use both my last name and my daughter's father's last name. So it's not hyphenated. She goes by her dad's last name, but I did that just for instances of making appointments, of getting prescriptions, of traveling, because it's like, who are you to judge me? Like behind the counter, just check me in, or get our allergy script, something. And that is something that like is triggering, because when you first have a baby, you're always going to the pediatricians, you're always going to the pharmacy. And that's why, one of the reasons why I chose a Black female pediatrician, so I didn't have to go through that. She's a single mom as well, so I didn't feel that like any sort of feelings of being stigmatized or being stereotyped. And it's really a mind thing, right? Because I would be out in public when I was pregnant, grown as woman, like kind of like covering up to where somebody couldn't see my ring finger, thinking that everybody's looking at it when people are minding their business shopping. But like, just mentally there was something saying, I'm not married, like I was unworthy. And that's not true. God has shown, even within the group, so many moms who were single moms, that's not the only time you're going to find love. I remember when you break up and that child's father tells you nobody's going to want you, that's the furthest from the truth. A lot of times they still want you, right? So just us kind of moving past that stereotype and that stigma to a place where we know that we're worthy, we know that we're valued. So, Rikell, have you experienced anything negative? And if so, like, how did you combat that?
The negative thing that I experienced was more so, I think it had to do more so with me than with my daughter. Um, I grew up with my dad in my household, always had a close relationship with my dad. My siblings would say my dad spoiled me. I'm the baby of the family. And just knowing that my daughter don't have what I had growing up has really bothered me. Sometimes I feel guilty for her not having the same experience that I had, but I mean, then I have to remember she is not me, as she say. So that's probably the most negative thing that I've experienced of being a single mom, is really the internal feelings for myself.
Right, right. And when you have a loving father, like my dad is a protector, a provider, and I wanted that same thing. And what we have to remind ourselves as single mothers is just because you're a single mom doesn't mean that your child isn't going to experience that thing, right? My daughter's dad bends over backwards and does, like, he spoils her to death. He adores her. He has her on a pedestal. He will, although he lives in a different state, if I call him right now, he will hop in a car and drive 6 hours if need be, right? And so even if a father, your child's father, isn't participating, there's brothers, there's mentors, there are other people who serve as advocates, grandfathers, uncles. So there's lots of people here, her cousins, her uncles, my guy friends, my friends' husbands. And then, so to me, I think sometimes they get kind of like a double dose of love because, she gets 2 Christmases, 2 birthday parties, and there's just, it takes it back to that village. So instead of thinking that kids coming up in households, single parent households, are missing out on something, sometimes they actually gain something because, I can look at my, people that I know that, maybe they're in an unhappy marriage. Not to say that I don't desire to be married, but the grass isn't always greener. So what is your one sentence advice to someone who is about to become a single mom? Like, what would you say to yourself back when you were pregnant? I think I would say that it's going to be okay. Like, you can do this. Because at the time, I think becoming a single mom has taught me so much. I knew it was a sentence, I couldn't stick to a sentence, but becoming a single mom has made me just a wiser, stronger, every that I can think of. Like, I was a bit of a prima donna. I was a bit of a prima donna. I wasn't putting things together. I put my daughter's crib together by myself. I was, out there, shoveling snow to make sure that the car was heated to take her to preschool. I was, up at night breastfeeding for over a year. That means you can't drink, you can't do anything. So it's like there's a lot of sacrifices, and those sacrifices turn you into a better person at the end of the day. It's like God will use whatever test you have to turn it into a testimony, whatever, tragedy or difficult time you go through to turn it into a triumph. So Rikell, what would you say to a pregnant single mom that's watching this?
I would say banish all self doubt that you have for yourself and embrace your past, present, and your future.
Powerful. Okay, what I would tell a single mother to be is to remember your why. I feel like abortion is such the new birth control that they want for us, that when we choose not to, you know, it's that point where you have to remember your why. Why did you choose to have this baby? And it's because you want, and you want to love, you didn't want to kill it. You want to love and you want to cherish it. So remember that. And then to me, when you remember your why, like me, like when I remember my why, like you said, it makes you go stronger. It makes you go harder because I'm doing this for my sons. I'm doing it for the Black girls that's watching me. I'm doing it for the people who's hating. I'm doing it for, you know what I mean, the naysayers and all of that. So remember your why, and just live, and just watch God move. That's what I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
And it'll definitely make you go harder. The reason why I have Single Mom Define is because of my daughter. When she was 6 months old, I started a mom blog and was able to monetize it and make money, send her to the Children's Museum preschool, take trips to Disney World. That then turned into me having a company, a communications and marketing firm, and being able to leave my job and make probably 10 times more than what I made. So it's like sometimes you just see the storm
You do.
and you have to see the rainbow on the other side, the blessing on the other side. And God, through this experience, has taught me, like, when you push through that pain, like, you can see your blessing, but sometimes that pain blinds you, right? So you just
Right.
have to kind of, look to all these moms who are on the website. And by the way, everyone watching, you can find their stories on singlemomdefine.com and get lots of advice like this. So, whew, I can go on and on. So just stay tuned for next week. We'll have these ladies back again. And I wish that, I had the advice that you all gave years ago. But all things happen for a reason, right? And now we're here able to shift the mindsets. And that's exactly what happened at the art exhibit. When the Single Mom Defined art exhibit was unveiled, we surveyed 500 people. And going into the exhibit, 50% admitted that they had negative perspectives about single Black moms. And that included Black women. So it wasn't, based off of color. So after exiting the exhibit, 93% stated that they now have positive attitudes towards single mothers. So the exhibit is something that is this living, breathing thing. It's online and it's an in-person platform to continue to elevate single mothers' voices and to create positive, supportive spaces for all single moms. So thank you, and join us next week as we continue to talk about single Black motherhood.